Hi, I'm Adrien Tirtiaux, a visual artist working with architecture and drawing comics. I propose you a guided tour through my last show, in which I try to bring together those two aspects of my work. In this first model, I cut off the panels of a comic page and imagined a building in which you could read the narrative three-dimensionally, each room being treated as a single comic sequence. And this is the opposite exercise. Starting from a given architecture, the Galerie Martin Janda in Vienna, I developed a specific narrative, following the dramaturgy of the space. When you enter the gallery, you are confronted with a huge comic panel on which Lucky Luke points to the salt desert. With a shoebox model, you actually have the whole story in front of your eyes, but you'll first understand it when you'll go through it, exactly as in a comic. Now let's penetrate into the salt deserts. As I usually make works which react to a specific context, I have difficulties with the white cube. The works that I put here are related to this blank page problem. This is a work of my own collection by Claudia Sinigalia. On this big piece of paper is pictured the long preparation for a revolution that did not happen. This cutted notepad is a new protagonist, which will play his role later in the story. And the picture on the wall is a white page slowly blackened with feather and ink. It's called An Improbable Meeting between Adrien and André Franquin and refers to two important figures in art history and comic history. The black picture is also a transition to the next sequence of our story. The night has fallen on the salt desert. We encounter a small refuge on our way, and the black silhouette appears on the horizon. So this can be seen as our small refuge. And we are guided by the comic panel to the gallery's cellar. As we can see on this drawing, we're going underneath the desert. The viewer who knows my work might remember that I already made an installation in the cellar in 2007. With a bit of paint, I transformed the elevator basement standing in the space into a tree. This reference to a previous episode was the starting point for a new installation, made with photocopies of all the comics I ever did, from my childhood until today. I consider this comic archive as a kind of autobiography, depicting every period of my life through the stories I was writing at the time. The elevator basement was sandpapered, revealing the tree trunk from 2007. The comic pages are lying on the floor like fallen leaves, allowing the viewer to take away some fragments of a past life. A three-part collage displaying Adrien's representation of art history within a tree also hangs in the space, adding a further association layer to the whole installation. In comic stories, the limits between the reader, the protagonist, and the author often blur. Going back to our initial narrative, we could consider the space underneath the desert as a kind of flashback our cowboy was confronted to. And now, as we climb up the stairs, the black silhouette of the former comic panel appears on our horizon. This aim in the desert is a model of an Egyptian temple called Medinet Habu, one of the first examples of narrative architecture in Western culture. Going along the central axis of this temple, we can follow all the steps of Egyptian life from birth to death. But what's this? There's another cowboy waiting for us at this temple. It is always the same slide, but as you climb up the stairs, you realize that you are actually taking part to this duel. And it might even be a duel against yourself. Or against the artist. Anyway, the ending is open, symbolized by this black pedestal with a smoked cigarette on it. So now that the decision has been taken, it looks like we've gone back to our initial situation. The desert again, and its boring infinity, represented by a model of Super Studio's continuous monument from 1971. It is made with a squared paper notepad that we've already seen somewhere.
Dans l'interminable ennui de la plaine, la neige incertaine luit comme du sable, le ciel est de cuivre sans lueur aucune, on croirait voir vivre et mourir la lune.